Now, with Mo Salah absolutely smashing it in pre-season and looking like a real captaincy option in Game Week 2, and Harry Kane really much looking like he's going to stay at Spurs, I've got 2 drafts with each of them in. Alright, starting off then with the Salah draft. My goalkeepers and defenders were a pretty easy pick, really. It looks like Steele is going to be the starting goalkeeper for Brighton. Those first 3 fixtures for Brighton are fantastic. I genuinely think they could challenge for those Champions League places this season. I mean, they're good enough to beat some of these top 6 teams now, so I've got really high expectations of Brighton. And defensively, they've got the highest clean sheet odds for Game Week 1 against Luton. Then they play Wolves, who look like they're in complete disarray, and West Ham after that, who also don't look like they're in the best of spots at the moment. So I'm really backing Steele to probably be the best 4.5 million keeper to start off the game. He started the final couple of pre-season games that Brighton played, so it's likely, in my opinion, he's going to be their starting keeper. Chilwell, Gabriel and Estupinian. I really like the 3 of those from a defensive perspective. Spoke about Brighton defensively already, covering Estupinian. Gabriel has the highest goal threat amongst all defenders in the Premier League last season. Most of his goal threat comes from set pieces, and he plays, I think, in the opening 7 fixtures, the worst 6 teams for defending set pieces. And yeah, I've got to feel Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham for opening 3. Arsenal have got some clean sheets there. Chilwell, he's obviously got a tough fixture against Liverpool to kick things off, and then Chelsea go into literally the best run of any team to kick off the season. And even in that Liverpool fixture, I would expect him to do quite well from an attacking perspective. Looking at the way that Liverpool are setting up, with Trent drifting from that right-back position into midfield, he leaves so much space behind him, which I really do think Chilwell can exploit. So I've got high expectations for attacking returns for Chilwell. Into the midfield now, and I'm favouring Maddison as my 7.5 million mid. You could well go for someone like Phil Foden. I'd just rather have the security of starts from James Maddison, and he's actually got a really quite a nice fixture run, barring that Man United game. And to be honest, every time I see Spurs playing Man United, they give him a tough game and usually score goals, and I feel like Maddison could be involved in those. So I think he's a really good option. And just with Phil Foden having the UEFA Super Cup mixed in as well, there could be a bit of doubt as to whether he plays every single game in the Premier League. I mean, if you believe that he will, go for Phil Foden instead. That's absolutely fine. But me personally, I'm preferring the safer pick in James Maddison. Talking about safe picks, I think Bruno Fernandes and Saka are ridiculously underpriced at 8.5 million. They both play every game for their team for 90 minutes, both on penalties, both absolutely fantastic options. Same with Brian Mbeumo, really. Of the 6.5 million mids, I think he's the strongest. He's on the penalties. He's going to take that talismanic role from Tony, with Tony obviously being out with his suspension. Yeah, I just think he's the best of the 6.5 million mids, basically. He did have an injury doubt at the start of the week, but that flag has now been removed from him. It was pictured in training this week, so I really do think he's a strong option. And then this being the Salah draft, of course, Salah is my 5th midfielder. João Pedro is really the key to this team sort of fitting together, really, and banking on him playing. He obviously looks like he's going to play for Brighton, in my opinion. It might get a bit mixed up when they start getting into the European games. He's going to start getting rotated, I believe, but because Brighton have just got so many attackers, basically. But in pre-season, he's looked really good, played every game, and been on penalties too. I think he's a really promising option. And at 5.5 million, there are other striking options in and around his price, the likes of Visser, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he can stay fit. So it's not too hard, in my opinion, to jump off him if you need to. And Erling Haaland up front as my captain for Game Week 1. As I said, Salah is a real captaincy option for Game Week 2, with Bournemouth at home compared to Haaland with Newcastle at home. So yeah, maybe Game Week 2 could be a different captaincy, but with Burnley away compared to Chelsea away, I think Haaland has the better fixture in Game Week 1, so he's going to be the captain. And just to complete this team is the bench. Areola is my goalkeeper. Could well be Turner if he looks to be the starting Nottingham Forest keeper, but just for now I've gone for Areola. I think he's the most likely of the 4 million keepers to start, given that Turner hasn't officially signed for Nottingham Forest yet. Henry is the 4.5 million defender. I think you could really have any of the best 4.5 million is. I think if you're watching this video, you've got a good idea of who the best 4.5 million defenders are in FPL. So yeah, take your pick of that lot, really. Gone for Kabore again as my 4.0 million defender. It's similar case, really. There are 4 or 5 of these guys at this price you can pick. They'll both probably finish on similar points, so I'm not really going to get too, big on who you select, basically. And Mabama, sorry. It looks like Scamacca has gone to Atalanta, and Antonio has been linked to Saudi clubs. I don't know if he's actually going to go, but of all the 4.5 million strikers, I think Mubama is most likely to actually play some minutes, so I've gone for him. I won't lie, the Kane draft is a bit of a cheat. Because they're both the same price, 12.5 million, you can quickly make the Kane draft simply by swapping Salah and Mubama out for Elliot Anderson and Harry Kane. Just comparing the expected points of both teams for the opening game week, you've got 60.4 expected points for this Kane draft and 61.2 for the Salah draft. So the Salah draft just edges it in terms of expected points, but I mean, there's 0.8 of a point in it. So for me, it really depends on who you prefer out of the two players. And up next, I've got a quick comparison between the two. Right, so what I've done here is taken their stats from the Premier League last season and then their expected points for the opening 5 fixtures. It does look like Salah is winning on the expected points total pretty much every game for the next 5. He's got slightly higher expected points than Harry Kane. Obviously, this is a draft hound algorithm, so you don't have to hang your hat on it, but it's just a bit of advice there in terms of expected points to help guide you into who may be the best picks. Obviously, Harry Kane scored more goals in the Premier League last season than Salah did, but interestingly, Salah actually beat him in terms of expected goals. Usually, expected goals over time even out, like sort of over the space of like 3 seasons or so, a player will pretty much score similar goals to his expected total. So I'd expect Kane's returns this season to maybe drop off a little bit and Salah's to maybe improve a little bit. And obviously Salah got way more assists than Kane did last season. And when you look at the expected returns per 90, which is one of the stats I like to look at in most cases, to be honest, the amount of returns a player is expected to get, goals or assists per 90, Salah does edge that by 0.1, which is actually quite a big margin when you look at how other players fare up to the two of them. So in my opinion, I think Salah's probably a better pick than Harry Kane. And realistically as well, think of the weeks where you'd be captaining Harry Kane compared to Haaland. There aren't many. Game week 2 is where you'd realistically captain Salah over Haaland, whereas, Haaland with Newcastle game week 2 against Kane with Man United game week 2, I think you'd just be captaining Haaland. So for me, just with the captaincy edge, I'd probably give it to Salah, but that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think. Right, and that's the end of the video. Seems to be a hot topic at the moment with Kane looking to be staying at Tottenham and Salah just ripping it up in pre-season. So I thought I'd be helpful and share with you a draft with both of the players in it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there. And I'll catch you in my next video.